the other bucket, media, small it may be in the overall context, again, very diverse, right? I mean, because if I include the 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 multiplex piece in media too, so that there is broadcasters, there's a bunch of other things out there, news platforms, uh, but it's not a space that has, as a secular theme, made too much money. I may be wrong, but broadly speaking, Rishabh, there aren't too many examples out there of companies that have really grown in size over the last 10 years because their profits and cash flows would have compounded at a significant pace in the last 10. So why such a large presence in media? That's my question. And what's the nature of the presence that you have in the space in your portfolios?
So to answer your first question, everything goes through cycle. If you look at the media went through a very strong cycle in the early 90s and up to early even 2000. When the satellite came through, a lot of these companies which started early, like even Z or Star, made significant amount of money in that cycle. It's only been the last 5 to 7 years where media has seen a down cycle, and for various reasons. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but various reasons. I think the whole cycle is starting to turn now. So you've seen significant consolidation. So you saw a lot of profitability, which attracted a lot of new entrants, which led to fragmentation of the market and lower profitability, which is now turned, and now it's leading to significant consolidation of the market, and hopefully should lead to very strong profit growth over the next 5 to 7 years. So our sense is media is at an inflection point in terms of the cycle. And we think that over the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see very strong growth as the top 3-4 guys now control almost maybe 75-80%, if not more, of the viewership share. And the viewership share is not just across linear platforms, it is across digital platforms as well. Unlike the West, the Indian companies also, or the media companies also control significant amount of digital viewership as well. So from our perspective, you are absolutely right. The last 5 years, if you look at it, or 7 years, don't look great. But I think that's a part of parcel of a cycle. I think the cycle is starting to turn. And we think that there is a great and very interesting opportunities. The top 3 guys will control 70% plus of the market. We own the broadcasters, to answer your second question, and some bit of cable companies, because the cable has a very interesting play on the broadband, and broadband is a very, very large and significant opportunity, which will play out over the next decade. So cable will give cash flows, and the broadband will be the growth driver.
Interesting. Just one follow-up there. So when I look at broadcasters, I can imagine that, say, for example, in news, this is true. But when I look at GEC, for example, what is leading on television, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be wrong. I'm just giving you anecdotal beliefs out here, that what is ruling on television versus what is ruling on OTT seems to be materially different, right? I mean, what I view on my iPad is materially different from what my parents are viewing on TV. So is there a misunderstanding out here, or at least on my part, or how are you therefore approaching GEC if GEC is what you own?
So GEC is one part of every broadcaster's booking.
Okay.
And you are absolutely right that what you see on smaller screens is not what you see on the larger screens. And I think that is something which is now very well established. I think all the broadcasters and OTT players are therefore making content which is relevant to the audience, whether the audience is coming through OTT watching on the smaller screen, or sometimes you come through OTT but still watch on a large screen. So I think the beauty of the media business is that it's completely driven by content. And the content creation is something which the Indian companies have perfected. I'm saying Indian in the sense that I consider Disney as Indian as you can get because of their long presence in India. Same thing for Sony, for that matter. So my sense is that the Indian broadcasters have got a very good hang on creating content, and content across maybe 20 regional languages, which is not easy. See, globally, what happens is you have 1, maybe 2 languages in a country. In India, or maybe 3 at best. In India, you have 20 languages, and you're you're creating content across 20 languages, which is not easy. So my sense is that that's a huge edge that the incumbents have over every new guy who comes in on the OTT space, and that is starting to manifest itself in globally as well. So after the whole run Netflix had, it's like the empire striking back. You see Disney gaining market share, you see Hulu gaining market share, you see HBO gaining market share, even on the OTT side. So my sense is that in India these guys had a little bit of a head start because they saw what was happening on the West, and therefore they've kind of iterated ahead of the curve in many ways. So my sense is that you're absolutely right. Content is different, but the screen proliferation is the next big opportunity. Because first you're only paying for TV on a linear TV basis. Now every screen you are basically paying for, more or less. Okay, and that kind of the screen proliferation gives that big leverage to the media companies.